Ronald J. Daniels is the 40th president of the Johns Hopkins University, the largest university recipient of federal funds, research funds in the United States. Johns Hopkins is home to 10 preeminent divisions, including the Bloomberg School of Public Health. The university's broad global reach includes campuses on 3 continents, presence in 150 field offices, and work in countries from Afghanistan and Zimbabwe to Haiti and Vietnam, and of course, Ethiopia. Before coming to Johns Hopkins, Mr. Daniels was provost and professor of law at the University of Pennsylvania. He was dean and James M. Torrey Professor of Law at the University of Toronto in Canada. He was elected a fellow of the American Academy of Arts and Sciences in 2009. In Baltimore, Mr. Daniels has focused his leadership on 3 overarching themes: enhanced interdisciplinary collaboration, increased student accessibility, and community engagement. In his role, he also serves as a bridge between the university and the vast Hopkins health system. Mr. Daniels is a law and economics scholar whose research focuses on the intersections of law, economics, development, and public policy, including the role of law and legal institutions in promoting international development. Your Excellencies, friends, Ron Daniels.
Thank you so much, Oyun. Good afternoon, and welcome again to the International Conference on Family Planning. I'm delighted and honored to be joining you here representing Johns Hopkins University. I want to start by recognizing the Ethiopian government, which has not only demonstrated extraordinary hospitality in hosting this international event, but which also stands out as an exemplar in this policy field. Of course, I also want to thank the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation for supporting life-saving family planning efforts around the world, and closer to home for supporting the Bill and Melinda Gates Institute for Population and Reproductive Health at Johns Hopkins, the co-host for this event. The distinguished lineup of speakers for this afternoon's session is powerful testament to the critical importance of this work, including His Excellency Haile Mariam Desalegn, Prime Minister of Ethiopia, and Her Excellency Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, the Chair of the African Union Commission. I'm honored to join Dr. Babatunde Osatemehe, Babatunde Osatemehe, Executive Director of the UN Population Fund, and Dr. Kaseti Birhan Admasu, Ethiopia's Minister of Health. The Honorable Patricia Haslick, the UN Ambassador to Ethiopia, Dr. Chris Elias, President of the Global Development Program of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and Dr. Catherine Bonga Bayi, the delegate representing the youth sector. Of course, I'm also delighted to join the esteemed attendees of this conference who work tirelessly to ensure full access and full choice. I know today is about the future of family planning, but I hope that you will indulge me for a brief moment in a bit of time travel. Specifically, I want to take you back to Johns Hopkins' home city of Baltimore in the year 1927. It was a time when Johns Hopkins obstetricians were worried about the effects of frequent childbearing on their female patients. Contraception was considered controversial, and families and physicians were drastically hemmed in by both law and prevailing social mores. But in November of that year, 86 years ago this month, a small group of concerned citizens and Johns Hopkins physicians quietly opened the Bureau for Contraceptive Advice in a narrow, nondescript house near our hospital. The medical director was Dr. Bessie Moses, the first woman obstetrical intern at Johns Hopkins Hospital, and an impassioned advocate for family planning. Now, admittedly, though it was the first such clinic in the state, the Bureau did not bust open the floodgates of good reproductive health practices. Established hospitals, including Johns Hopkins, were wary of housing these activities within their facilities, and patients were largely restricted to married women referred by their physicians. But in the clinic's first 5 years, Dr. Moses collected data on more than 1,000 patients, later publishing a landmark study that provided dispositive scientific evidence of the benefits of birth control. Over the next 4 decades, as the clinic and the national discussion around reproductive health evolved in the US, Dr. Moses remained ever vigilant and in the vanguard of her field, using her formidable experience and expertise to lobby Congress, expand services, and train the next generation of practitioners. On the day that she died in 1965, our School of Public Health received a $700,000 grant, then what was clearly an outlandishly large sum of money from the federal government to advance studies of birth control. Now, I mention this story here today, 7,000 miles and 86 years removed, because I believe it echoes in this gathering today. This conference and the issues it raises stand as a resounding call for the Academy to be true to its roots, to follow in the footsteps of Dr. Moses and her peers, and to use evidence and compassion to illuminate best practice. Today, our academic researchers continue to hold a mirror up to family planning practices and interventions to determine whether they are justifiable against science, data, and human rights. This is true whether our investigators are working in Botswana, Bangladesh, or closer to home in the neighborhoods of Baltimore. There is no country exempt from the concerns of family planning, and no nation where science and evidence cannot add value to policy and practice. In the United States, our recent history discloses that vicissitudes of research funding and shifting political winds cannot help but disrupt research and cannot help but impair, tragically and unnecessarily, social health and welfare. As in many parts of the world, family planning has too often been suffused with baseless ideology, despite the avalanche of rigorous evidence on the efficacy of certain practices. We know well that sound family planning is not easy, but neither should it be controversial. At the end of the day, I know the yeoman's work in family planning is undertaken by tireless community workers, scrappy nonprofits, and courageous, principled governmental leaders. Many of you, I know, are here today. I am delighted that Johns Hopkins can follow in the tradition that Dr. Moses began, to stand by the side of these extraordinary men and women as we address the still gaping unmet needs in family planning. Thank you once again for being here at this conference and for all the work you do. Hopkins is humbled and privileged to play a small part in your great cause. Thank you so much.